Dang it. I messed everything up. Okay, well, screw it. It is what it is. Why did you wait till the last possible second to join, to send me a message? All right, hold on here. Hi, everybody. Sorry, everything is kind of wonky. Trying to get things sorted here. All right, let's see if we can do this. Copy, back, edit, paste, save, back, edit. Oh, I'm gonna have to do a lot of this editing afterwards. Ah! There we go. Okay. I think I'm live. This one's just gonna change that to private. No, this one's private. Just go unlisted. I don't know what's going on. Oh my goodness, I've totally messed everything up. Ah! What we got going on here? Not top chat. Oh, actually that chat doesn't work. I need this one. Live chat. Pop-out chat. There we go. Ah. There we go. I think I'm in the right chat. I think I'm doing things somewhat accurately. I'm 3 minutes in. I haven't even done anything. Hello, everybody. Hello, peoples. Pupils. Hey, Blah Sheep. Why do you wait till the last second to send me a message that you're not coming? As I'm trying to set everything, as I'm trying to launch this, that kind of messed me up, and I hit the wrong button, and I ended up canceling the stream, and having to reset it. Yeah. Oh, that rock's in my way. Yeah, you just like seeing me mess everything up. I get it. Yeah. That's okay. I don't try to pretend I'm a professional at this. I'm just an average Joe giving it a go. That's pretty much it. Yeah, with me. With me. I get it. Thanks. Don't worry, I'm laughing with me as well. Oh, I just hope it doesn't mess everybody up. They saw me go live and then I stopped it, and yeah, it's just, yeah. It's okay. It is what it is. We'll get this sorted. People will sort out in a second here, and we'll figure it all out. I can't see how many are in the chat. Okay, we're up to 6. Okay, well, that's about where I should be. Most of my views come after I release this anyway. So, actually, no, I'll do that after. I'll share it after. Anyway, shall we get into my script and my my topic of the day? Because, oh, what do you think of the location? Isn't this great? I thought this was fantastic. Can you hear the water? Let me know if you can hear the water. Nobody? No? Nothing? Then again, there's probably like a 30-second delay. That's probably messing me up. All right, as long as it's just ambient in the background and not drowning me out, that's pretty good. Yeah. That's fine. All right, let's get into it. I have a big, huge script, and I don't want to be over an hour this time. I'd rather keep it down to an hour because I think an hour is just about right for a live stream. Unless you're gaming, of course. Well, then, yeah, you need to go for like 6 hours. Maybe I should take up gaming. Hey, what do you guys think? Should I start gaming on the channel? I'm thinking for Sundays. I know how much you hate that. I know. I keep that for my off-screen time. Anyway, I want to get into the topic at hand, as the title says. Is 7 years the sentence or just the headline? This is about Tamara Lich and Chris Barber's sentencing hearing. But it's a broader topic I'd like to actually discuss. I don't really want to get into... I'm trying to stay middle of the road on this one. Even though I have my own personal bias, I really want to look at this from a middle of the road perspective. And the topic at hand is just using Chris Barber and Tamara Lich's court case as kind of a prop to see a bigger problem. So, I'll start with my script here in the opening line, or the opening paragraph here. Canadians are divided on this one, and because of that, I've said very little over the years, which is true. I've really spoken little about this. Because every time this case comes up, something happens. We stop listening to each other. We stop slowing down. We stop asking questions. Instead, we just react. Now, the Crown is asking 7 to 8 years, 7 years for Tamara Lich, 8 years for Chris Barber, plus they want to confiscate his truck to crush it. That's just petty. And no matter where you stand on this, you have to ask yourself, is this the actual sentence or just the headline? Because long before the judge makes a decision, the story is already out. The trial, in the eyes of the public, is already over. The verdict? Guilty, dangerous, to be erased. And that's been the story of the Convoy from the beginning. It's never been about a court case. Tamara Lich and Chris Barber is not about a court case. It's all public It's the court of public opinion is where we're being tried. It's not about what's happening in that courtroom. Think to yourself, when was the last time you heard somebody that got charged with, I don't know, shoplifting? Somebody that got charged with shoplifting. When was the last time you heard what the Crown was asking for a sentence for them? You never hear that. Never, ever, ever hear that. Is it because there's less scrutiny on that case? No, it's because they don't release that information publicly. Sure, it's available publicly, but they don't release it, especially before the trial even happens. The sentencing trial. Before it even happens, they release that information publicly. That's not the way it works if you're looking for justice. Why was justice invented in the first place? We created courts to stop the cycle of retaliation, to stop injustice driven by vengeance, by hysteria, by public rage. Courts were society's promise. You will be heard, and you will be weighed fairly. You will not be destroyed just because someone powerful wants you to be. But we're drifting. Because of the age of instant media, we're right back to pitchforks. Only now, we carry them on our phone. The mob rule, if you will. Justice isn't a perfect system, but it was a system to be just. That's why it's named that way. It's right in the name. Justice. When a person is put on trial today, they're not just facing a judge. They're facing millions of invisible jurors with no oath, no restraint, and no context. Let's just look at a few of them. The Ghomeshi trial, CBC host. The public obliterated him before the trial even began. Social media declared him guilty immediately, but in court, he was acquitted of all charges related to SA, YouTube, I can't say it. Why? Because the evidence didn't match the narrative. Witnesses contradicted themselves. Emails surfaced showed that the relationship weren't what they had claimed. Oh, I didn't bring my drink. Oh, I left it at the house. Sorry, I'm going to probably be coughing. Emails surfaced that showed the relationship weren't what they had claimed. But even after the acquittal, people still say, doesn't matter, he's guilty in my mind. That's not justice. That's sentencing by sentiment. I don't normally do this, but we're going to use this example as well, because I have a lot of American viewers. I'm going to bring up an American case. A very recent American case. Kyle Rittenhouse. The trial, in public, he was a white supremacist. He was called a domestic terrorist, condemned by media, celebrities, even the sitting president. In court, self-defense acquittal. The video evidence contradicted the mainstream story, but the people had already moved on. They didn't care. The means had already done its job. So the trial became irrelevant. The headline was a sentence. Right back to the title of this stream. The convoy itself. Okay? Let's not forget, before a single court document was signed, before a hearing was held, I was told I was violent. I was told I disrespected war memorials, desecrated monuments, terrorized citizens. I saw my MPs stand on national TV and call me an extremist, a white supremacist, and a racist. But where's the evidence? Where are the charges that match that level of defamation? There are none. Because the goal was not to convict in court. The goal was to convict in culture. And this sentence, 7 to 8 years plus a truck, it's not for the crime, it's for the symbol. And to be fair, yes, the convoy was a kind of mob rule too. A peaceful one, but still, we were mob rule. It was the result that courts refused to protect our rights. We knocked on the door politely for 2 years, and they ignored us. So we parked our 500 horsepower pitchforks in front of Parliament. And they hated that. Oh, did they hate that? Because it wasn't just noise. It was the unity across Canada. The truckers from Quebec hugging farmers from Alberta. Citizens shoveling sidewalks, picking up garbage, feeding the homeless. Mob rule with manners. And that was more dangerous to the system than any riot. Oh man, you might see me just keel over here in a minute. Hope you see where I'm going with this. This whole court case is nothing but a farce. It's purely a spectacle for us to consume. And when I say us, I don't mean those in favor of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. I mean everybody, including those that oppose. It's to fuel that divide some more. Keep us at each other's throats so we're not looking at the real problem, which is the direction of our country and who's leading it, and what it's doing to its people, what the media is doing to manipulate us so that we are distracted from real issues that actually can make a difference in this country. That's what this whole Sentance trial is about. It has nothing to do with Tamara or Chris Barber or the convoy. Those are just tools to these people. Tools to manipulate us. And that's what this is all about. And that's exactly right, Black Sheep. That's why it's been going on for years. Is to keep it in the headlines. You're right. Yeah, I'm not figuring they'll serve any time either. If they get a sentence of any particular merit, it'll probably just be time served, just so that they don't have to pay them for the time that they did serve. prevent future, lawsuits of, you know, excessive imprisonment or whatever. So that's why they do time served in these types of things. Um, so that you can't go back and say, well, I got sentenced to 30 days, but you kept me in jail for 45, so I'm going to sue you for the extra 15. That's what that's all about. I got to ask you, though, and this is out of my script. I'm just thinking about it, of everything that happened and everything we were called and everything that they claimed we did, all the laws that apparently we broke, the only charge, well, Chris Barber has 2 charges actually, so there's 2 charges. But the main charge here is mischief. Not one other charge of, domestic terror, racism, hate speech, violence. Nothing with a real crime involved. No. Mischief. You were annoying, so you must be charged. That's what mischief is. Mischief isn't a real charge. It was, you are annoying, so we need to do something about you. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to be annoying. Hell, CBC is annoying. You don't see them getting charged. It's annoying to watch my government make rules that the populace disagree with. Where's the charges there? They're mischief. Like, this isn't a real charge. It isn't a real crime. But yet, they can ask for 7 to 8 years for that. For being annoying? Last time I checked, a protest purpose is to be annoying so that you get the attention of the people that you are trying to get. Otherwise, it's just civil disobedience is actually embedded in our rights. But they claim that civil disobedience is not acceptable, and it needs to get 7 to 8 years. This is so dumb. Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Sort of. I'm touching on that in a few minutes here. Anyway, back to my script here. I really have a problem with this charge of mischief. Now, Chris Barber did get another charge, which was disobeying a court order. That's a valid charge. You disobey a court, lay down an order, no more honking your horns. Chris asked people to honk their horns more, so he got charged with that. That is a legitimate charge. Okay? Mischief, that's BS. That's just because you were annoying and they need to do something about you. That's all that charge is. It has no bearing of any criminality. It's just a feelings charge. When is feelings the overruling factor? And isn't one person's feelings different from another? So if I'm okay with somebody being annoying, but you're not okay with someone being annoying, at what point does your feelings overrule mine? Is that fair? Just? Sorry. My little tangent on mischief is over. I'm going to get back to my script because that's probably smarter. What am I on now? Media as the weapon. Here we go. Let's be clear. What you're watching now isn't about justice. It's a cleanup job. The trial isn't about what Lich and Barber did. It's about making sure no one ever tries it again. The Liberals couldn't beat Convoy with policy. They couldn't beat it with courts. Hence mischief. So they went back to their old tool, public shame. They weaponized the media, lied, smeared, exaggerated, and let the court of public opinion lay the groundwork for the real court to follow. And that's exactly why mischief is the charge. Is because, and the court needed to find something to follow through on, because in the court of opinion, mob ruled. So the court needed to follow, or it shows the court complacent. And the court can't be complacent to the government's opinion. Otherwise, they don't get their promotion. That's where it really comes down to. Another case to compare to, the G20 riots in Toronto in 2010. Actual violence, police cars burned, storefronts smashed, real chaos, and barely any long-term consequences. I think one person got charged. I think the maximum sentence for anybody from any of that was a 2-year crime for violence. I think he got 2 years for violence. Yeah, I can't remember. Sorry. There's so much information in my head that sometimes it all just kind of farts. But anyway, back to where I was. The real chaos and barely any long-term consequences. The public didn't care. The media didn't care. Why? Because the riots weren't challenging the state authority. They were just an inconvenience. But the convoy, that was a threat to control. And now you get the punishment. Now we get the punishment. The G20 riots never did. I don't want to touch on this one. I really don't want to touch on this one. But I'm going to anyway. Let's compare Tamara Lich, the woman who came out on social media every single day during the convoy, said, everybody cooperate with police, be polite, be respectful, don't cause a problem, be helpful to each other. This is what the woman did. She was basically the Mother Teresa of the convoy, okay? Every single day she came out and said, hey guys, respect the police, respect what they're doing, listen to what they're saying. We're here to speak to the government, not to cause problems for this city. We're going to be an inconvenience to this city, but we're not here to cause you problems. This is what this woman did. And they're asking 7 years for this woman. Let's compare her to Omar Khadr. Yeah, we're going to go there. Lich faces 7 years for organizing a peaceful protest. Khadr killed a soldier in Afghanistan, returned to Canada, and was given $10.5 million in compensation. Lich organized a crowdfunding which generated over $10 million. The government stepped in and shut it down. Then when she reorganized another crowdfunding, raised another $10 million, the government stepped in and seized it for organizing a peaceful protest. But an enemy combatant gets $10 million from the government after killing a soldier in a war, an ally soldier. That's not about guilt or innocence. That's about narrative control. Who gets rewarded and who gets destroyed? It depends entirely on whether they support the story the government wants told. Why this matters to you? You don't have to like the convoy to see what's happening here. This is not just a legal case. It's a message. It says, if you stand up to us publicly, we will not only defeat you, we will destroy your legacy. We will create headlines so loud the truth becomes irrelevant. So I ask again, is the sentence of 7 years for Lich, 8 years for Barber, plus the seizure and destruction of his truck, his employment truck, is that the sentence or the headline? Because the true punishment is already underway. It's not prison. It's the destruction of public memory. It's destroying the idea that you could actually protest our government here in Canada with fear. Because no matter what this actual sentence turns out to be, which is probably, like I said, going to be time served so that they don't have to deal with the overtime served. It doesn't matter. That's not going to become the headline. 7 to 8 years is already the headline. That's it. The public opinion, read that, it's done. The court case is over. It doesn't matter what happens in the courtroom at this point. It doesn't matter. Because that headline will live forever. Because it was the first one. I don't come to these topics lightly, but I do come to this one with a warning. The digital age is undoing the very reason we created courts in the first place. To protect the individual from rage of the mob. And now the mob is back. Not in the streets, but in our feeds, in our minds, and how we remember people before they even had a chance to defend themselves. So we need to ask again and again, do we believe in justice or do we believe in control? Because the two things are not the same. Not anymore. We're allowing our government to take us back to an age of barbarism, an age of witch hunts, where we dragged people from their homes based on hearsay, on one person's opinion, rather than the community's understanding. We're allowing our government to make justice irrelevant again, making pitchforks the justice of tomorrow. That's what this court case is all about. And the justice, the laws, the courts themselves, they're not immune. They're watching how public opinion is being formed And they're just going along with it. Because who appoints judges? The government. Who promotes judges? The government. So in order to progress your personal status and your personal career, you need to cooperate with the very people that are making your job irrelevant. Because if you stand up to them, your career dwindles into the dust. It comes to a dead end. And that's the reality of it. We look at the police right now, calling traditional values extremist. Why the hell would they even think that? That's not even in their... That's not a realistic opinion. But it's an opinion that is forced upon their organization because they need to adhere to the government's opinion. Again, it's back down to promotion. It's back down to career. It's back down to all these different factors. You look at that police officer down in Windsor who lost his entire career, was eviscerated by the police force because he stood up against the mandates. Yeah, they also say this is true. They said that people should report people with traditional values, or that are discovering traditional values that used to believe in something else. What's there to report? That those traditional values are the woman becomes the caregiver for the children and the home, while the man goes to work and provides a stable income so that they could afford the life that they want to live. Those are the traditional values that are extremist. That's a traditional family. A woman could take on a part-time job or whatever for things. Like, even if you reverse the two roles, is that extremism then? If the woman has the career and the man stays home and takes care of the home and raises the children under their own value system, is that extremist? Because it's the exact same thing. It's just we reverse the roles. But if both parents go to work and the kids are sent off to daycare, the government makes money. Which one do you think the government wants to promote? They make twice as much income tax that way. I think I'm done my speech. Yeah. I'm ready to talk to you guys. I don't know. I think we're in a very, very dangerous place these days. I think we are watching justice and government be eroded because of power. And in a democracy, the actual idea of a democracy is the government doesn't have power. The people have the power. But that's just a falsehood these days. Because if the people utilize their power and actually stand up against the government's power, the governments manipulate the populace using big, fancy, horrible words with lots of isms on the end. This isn't justice anymore. This is barbarism. I'm so appalled at where our country, how far our country has fallen in the last 30 years. It's actually just so disheartening to me. Ah, there was a story that popped up yesterday, and I wanted to talk about, and I totally forget what it is now. Oh God, it was. I saw the Moose talking about it, and I saw Elevate talking about it, and I can't remember what it is now. I'm actually losing a lot of interest in the Moose these days. I love his board, and I love all his interconnection and everything. I find he's just getting a little too, I don't know what the word would be. It's not my thing. I mean, I'm not knocking on him. He's doing him, and he's got the views to back it up. I'm a nobody. Uh, he's just not my thing these days. Same with Northern Perspective. Really not my thing these days. They're doing their own things, and it's just not interesting. Elevate, on the other hand, I'm really liking him. He's got a nice balanced approach to things. Oh, that's it. That's what it was. Back to these traditional values. Western society was built on traditional values. Western society was built on Christianity. And yet now we can have media defamate a Christian singer. Have you guys any idea on what Christian values are if you're defamating a Christian singer? You have no idea what you're even talking about at that point. But CBC defamated this Christian singer to the point that they had his concert canceled in Halifax. Okay. Which then in turn had Quebec, a really, really heavy Christian province, turn around and cancel a Christian singer's concert in Quebec, which is extremely Christian, that entire province, and they're always talking about they want to keep their culture. Well, Christianity is part of who Quebec is. The Catholic Church in Quebec is core to who Quebec is. Quebecers are very Christian, and yet they canceled a Christian singer. And you know what the irony of it is? They didn't cancel. They claim him to be MAGA and, you know, all these horrible isms, whatever. They claim that they needed to cancel it for fear of violence. Not violence from the Christians. No, violence that may be imposed upon the Christians. So instead of protecting the Christians and their concert and their right to free speech, their right to religion, their right to gather, no, we're not going to protect that. No, we're going to say you can't have your concert because there may be violence against you. What? Where is the logic here? You call traditional values extremism, and then you tell traditional value people they can't have a concert and a gathering, a fellowship together because there may be extreme violence against them? What? Yeah, we're not going there, dude. I already had that conversation with you. Please be respectful of my channel. That's all I asked. That's what I asked of you the other day. That's what I ask of you again. This whole idea of traditional values and the attack on it is absolutely mind-boggling. And to use violence against traditional values as a justification for a cancellation of fellowship is so disrespectful and so counter to you, even your own narrative. It's just so mind-boggling. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I pretty much had everything I had to say there. I think every time we come up with these court cases where you hear the sentencing before the case is even heard, I think you have to ask yourself, why are you hearing it? Why are you hearing the outcome before the case? Because if you are hearing it, that means there's a narrative they're trying to force you into forming. Instead of you forcing your opinion based on actual facts, which is what a court case is for, is to hear all the facts and judge justly, hence the name, justice. It's right in the title. So if you ever hear a sentence ahead of time, you know you're being manipulated. We need to start paying attention to where we're being manipulated. And when you see that, you need to call it. You need to call it out directly to their face and go, why are you trying to manipulate me? Discredit the manipulation. That's what we need to start doing. We talk about this misinformation, disinformation nonsense. You hear it from our government, you hear it from the media, you hear it from everybody. Okay? Is manipulation not sort of a form of disinformation? And disinformation is actively trying to provide you with inaccurate information to make you form an opinion. And that is a problem in our society right now. We keep saying that we can't allow these things in our discourse, but yet we're using it to reinforce that point. And it's just wrong. Civil disobedience is legal in Canada. It is a legal thing to do. There are consequences to actions that you may do during that civil disobedience, hence parking tickets for the convoy. Everybody got them. I got several. I paid them. I even showed a video of me paying them. It's on my channel. I won't delete it. Because I own my mistake. I own my part in there. You know? I accepted my responsibilities. I took part in this, and I knew there would be probably consequences for it. But it was necessary because civil disobedience sometimes is required to get the attention of people. And if you look at what happened afterwards, everything came to an end. Everything. They tried to keep pushing it a little longer. Nobody was biting anymore. So even those that disagreed with the convoy succeeded in its goal, trying to get Canada back on course. Now, we're not back on course, but we're at least semi-free to do what we want. Yeah, last week, I was talking about the gentleman. No, he's not a gentleman. No, my bad. The police setting up a sting operation, and this person decided that they wanted to take money and purchase fun time with someone that they believed to be at the age of 15. And the judge, in his case, gave him a slap on the wrist because it might interfere with his immigration status, as he was in the process of applying to become a citizen of this country. Wait a minute. Why are we still considering this person to be a citizen of our country? Has he not proven we don't want that type of person? But no, we can't interfere with his citizen application. And even the judge said, if you were a citizen, you would have gone to jail. The judge in his case said this to him. But because your citizenship will get affected by this, we'll just give you a slap on the wrist, change the charges so that you don't get deported. This is exactly the people we don't want in this country. We don't want our own citizens doing that. Why do we allow that? Because it's not about justice anymore. It's about narrative. It's actually ridiculous. Anyway, this has been close to an hour. I got a whole bunch of fixing up things to do, and I got other things I need to get done today, and yeah. Guys, there's not much we can do to prevent the attempted manipulation, but we need to be aware of the manipulation that is being imposed upon us. And if we're aware of it, then we can have a critical mind and think critically for ourselves. I'm not telling you need to agree with the convoy. I know we were annoying. It was our intention to be annoying because we needed attention. I think our goals pretty much they worked out, sort of. Not the way we had intended, but it ended up working out in Canada's interest of the time. All the mandates got dropped, all the lockdowns got canceled, everything got canceled, and you still, apparently, if this was as bad as they say, well then why isn't it still happening? When was the last time you heard a story about it? Just saying. I think the people rising up was a big shock because Canadians are such happy-go-lucky people. The government wasn't expecting that. And they had a huge wake-up call. Now they need to save face. So in order to save face, they need to keep us divided on this issue so that they have the supremacy over the people. That's all this is about. So by putting a headline out there saying the Crown is requesting 7 to 8 years, in the person that's actually not really paying attention's mind, that was the sentence. So if a topic comes up where they decide that, hey, maybe I should go protest our government because they shouldn't be allowed to do this, in the back of their mind is, oh, the last people that did this, they got 7 years. Even though that's not reality. But they don't care about reality. Whatever, Brett. Anyway. I'm going to move on. I'm going to go about my day. I'm going to have me some fun somewhere today. Maybe it'll just be playing some video games. I don't know. I haven't decided. Yeah. Maybe I'll just sit here and smell the flowers. Not as pretty as I think they are. Yeah. Yeah, that one's not very nice. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourselves a great day. And if you guys haven't heard yet, oh, it's not in the description of this live because I had to restart. There is a video on my channel. Actually, here I can go back and look and see what it's called here for you. Actually, I'll give you a link. Hold on. Shareable link. There's a video here I'd like you to go watch. I moved to BC. Now it's Kitty's turn. I would greatly appreciate if you guys could help out with that. If you can, great. If not, just share it. I'm trying to get my truck that's made all these wonderful adventures for us possible registered here in BC, and it's an expense that I really can't take on at this time. Still working to get health care for personal, which is a whole different conversation. I probably am going to be doing a live stream about that pretty soon, healthcare in Canada. Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch what an old man has to say about a topic that impacted Canada in a pretty significant way, and how it's being manipulated. If you take anything from this, great. I hope it's informative. I hope it makes you think differently. That's my goal. It's not to form your opinions. I have no interest in forming your opinions. I have interest in you forming your own opinions by using your own logic and helping you understand what you're looking at. That is the goal of this. That's all. Anyway, have yourselves a great day, and welcome to the Fringe.